Stephen I of Iberia was born sometime around 560 to 570 AD. His father was Prince Gruesome I of Iberia, and his mother is unknown. Stephen would have been born as a prince of Iberia, and when his father agreed to become a vassal under Rome, there was no way to escape the role of prince to become a sovereign king of Iberia. This role, as a prince and not a king, always left Stephen with something of a chip on his shoulder, but for now, there was nothing he could do about it. In 590, Stephen would become the head prince of Iberia, after the death of his father. There isn't a lot of information on Stephen's early life or reign until about 598. In this year, a debate swept into Iberia that had been going on for a century in eastern Rome. The divine nature of Jesus was the hot-button issue of the day. Was Jesus only human? Was he part divine and part human? Or was he all divine? Believe it or not, this was an issue that would cause riots in the Eastern Roman Empire, and now the questions had started to flow into Iberia. Almost 100 years ago, in 451 AD, a council had come together in the city of Chalcedon that was located in modern-day Turkey. This council had decided that Christ's nature was equally human and divine. Stephen and his Georgian Orthodox Church found this to be a farce, and supported the idea that Christ was only divine in nature, also known as Monophysitism. This was a change for the Georgian Orthodox Church, who had mainly supported the Chalcedonian double-nature divinity of Jesus. It only took about a decade for the Georgian Orthodox Church to overturn this decision and return to Chalcedonian views, though. Stephen and the church most likely turned back to Chalcedonian views so they could enjoy a closer relationship with their Chalcedonian overlord, Emperor Heraclius of the Eastern Roman Empire. And so by 608, the Georgian church left their Monophysite beliefs for Chalcedonian ones. Of course, a large portion of the Iberian population still held on to Monophysitism, though. This left Stephen with a sour taste in his mouth. Why should he have to believe in what his overlord believes in? This question would lead Stephen to lean more towards the Sassanids than his own Roman overlord. This pro-Sassanid outlook is exemplified in his coinage. Just like his father did, Stephen styled his coinage to look very similar to Sassanid coins and earlier Iranian coins. It seems silly to run towards the protection of the Sassanid Empire, who had annexed Iberia for a total of 8 years. This was still fresh in the memories of many Iberians. Iberia once again flipped sides to join with the Sassanid Empire in 626. There was no question that Emperor Heraclius would invade Iberia, as the Sassanid-Byzantine War had been raging now for over 20 years. Surely, the Sassanids would help their new Iberian ally. And they probably would have helped them a lot more if it wasn't for a new power entering this war. In 626, Emperor Heraclius asked the Khazar Khaganate to join in his war against the Sassanids. There was just one obstacle in the way of this plan, though. Heraclius had to get the Khazars through the Caucasus Mountains, and to do this, he needed to regain control of Iberia. Prince Stephen was probably terrified when Emperor Heraclius showed up to the walls of Tbilisi with early versions of a trebuchet, as well as a horde of nomadic horse lords. The Sassanids did end up assisting Stephen, as they sent him soldiers to reinforce Tbilisi. Unfortunately for Stephen, these soldiers would not be enough to hold out against the combined forces of the Eastern Roman Empire and the Khazars. Eventually, these two forces breached the walls of Tbilisi and took King Stephen as a prisoner. Heraclius also tried to decimate the remaining Monophysites that remained in Iberia. Emperor Heraclius had reinstated his overlordship over Iberia by placing Adarnase I as the Prince of Iberia. Adarnase was a cousin of Stephen, whose father was Bakr III, the last king of Iberia. It wasn't enough for Emperor Heraclius to imprison Stephen. He needed to make an example of him. And so after his capture, Prince Stephen would be flayed, peeling the skin away from his muscles, all while Prince Stephen was still alive.